Thank you all for coming. You can move up a little bit. There's a lot of space between the stage, so come on up. Okay.
Come on in.
Well, it started off, I was playing bass in another band in Brooklyn called Turnip King, and the original drummer of Turnip King went to college when I think we were in 11th grade.
Yeah.
So Jacob started filling in on drums, and that's when me and him first got acquainted. And about maybe a year later, when we had just started our senior year of high school, I started writing some songs, and we started playing together pretty regularly at his house. And we had a few different bass players who were old friends of ours, but they weren't very serious about it. So the summer of 2013, I asked Julia to join the band. And ever since then, it's been full force.
So if you'd like to describe your sound to someone who've never heard you before, what would you say?
The way that, well, someone asked me recently to answer that question in 3 words, and I said guitar, bass, and drums. And that made me laugh for a while once I thought of it, because I was like, it is kind of that simple. You know what I mean? Like, especially when you see us live, we are really a rock band essentially, and I think we try to stick to that as much as we can. You know, and you want to maintain an air of mystery. It's like we could say a paragraph about what we are, but we wouldn't do it any justice, and also who cares? So
Yeah.
so
We're kind of like a Motown group, but only with chorus pedals.
I would have Motown group.
I'm just
Jake
joking.
doesn't know what Motown is.
I do.
So for anyone, I'd like to say just come see it and check it out.
What do you think are the most artists who influence your art?
I think it's a bunch of people. We kind of all love rock music from the past 40 years.
Yeah.
A slew of older artists, The Velvet Underground or The Who, Brian Wilson, and then newer artists like Unknown Mortal Orchestra and Dive.
You know, I think as Jake said, kind of take from a large influence of rock. I'd say we probably don't like hair metal.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think of what we don't like.
I don't really like 90s indie rock. Like I don't really, not that I don't like it, I just don't listen to it. Like I don't listen to a lot of bands like Pavement or Dinosaur Jr.
Yeah.
I'd say the 90s is our least influencer.
Except for Nirvana.
Except for Nirvana. And that almost makes up for all of it right
Yeah.
there.
I can see you guys made or recorded 11 songs in just 11 days. How was the experience for you?
Well, they were recorded in 11 days, but obviously they were written beforehand, and also we had extensively home recorded and demoed all of them too before we went to the studio. So we had our friend Molnar, who also produced the record. He came out to our practice space in Long Island. We spent probably the equivalent of 400 hours in his room overdubbing vocals, overdubbing guitars, keyboards, different percussion, different stuff.
Basically just trying everything that we could think of beforehand in a space that was conducive to creativity and also free.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Basically, we couldn't afford to try out all of our ideas in the studio, so we had to do everything first and then go in and kind of just bang out what we already knew we were planning to do. You know what I mean?
And
Just try to make most of
It
it.
was a lot of front end work, and it was really swelteringly hot in his apartment in New York. Me and him would just go on tirades where we just talk, get off topic, and then spend 2 hours just talking about something, and then be like, all right, we have to get back to the process. But it kind of drove us a little bit crazy. Me and Julia spent a lot of time there especially, and I feel by the end it was just
and Jake coming in and us. I just remember hitting that tambourine in that room.
For 4 hours.
Yeah,
it's just, but then
different
recording
shakers.
actually went really smoothly when it finally came to it, and because of that, a whole demo album of the record exists. So maybe in 50 years we'll release that.
So, as a young band, so to say, what are the most challenges that you endured, and what do you think that you might face in the future, especially in this industry?
I think mostly us being on the younger side hasn't really hurt us too much, especially internationally. I wouldn't consider it a challenge. It's a fleeting gift. We have a very agile, live show full of movement. And I wonder in my head sometimes, I'm like, if I'm going to be making music forever, like, how am I going to be able to, like, am I going to be 50, like,
All artists
jumping into a
change.
crowd? You know what I...
Eventually, you'll be sitting on a stool.
Yeah, eventually I'll just be sitting on a stool blowing into a kazoo.
And you'll also just be talking instead of singing.
I think that we've just been really lucky.
There's a
And-
lot of challenges just
being
for
in a band.
yeah
Just-
for
In any
for
band.
all bands. There's a lot of it's sort of like a watershed moment, I think, in like entertainment, where streaming services are really changing everything about how people consume media, and it's sort of like a moment where we're gonna see where it goes. But for now, the industry is a little bit messed up, and it's kind of hard to sustain any sort of living off of making art, whether it's music or movies, and it gets it really hard for art to be made because everything has to appeal to the widest audience and sell the most tickets, and because of that, making something like pretty left field, or not even that left field, but considerably left field compared to what sells, it's just really hard for people with a lot of artistic integrity to make a living anywhere in the arts, I think.
Which is definitely true, and I think it's been true for a while. But I think I do agree with Nick that there is a big shift that's going on, and the streaming service world is pretty crazy. But I don't think it's enough. It's not enough to derail us in any way.
Okay.
We're still here.
We're still here. We're still gonna be.
We're
still
still
gonna
here,
be
I
trying.
hope for now.
If you listen to our song on YouTube, we get 0.006 of a penny. So maybe one day we can buy a Snickers bar.
Yeah, click refresh, my man.
I think it's interesting to ask, on your opinion, how things run right now in the music industry as newcomers, and what you should do to establish yourself as a band.
You should tour, and you should also listen to what people give you as feedback, I think.
Yeah, I think it's different for everyone too. I mean, I think that there's a lot of or ways to do it where like you can kind of like think something up and then kind of get a team together and do like a big push, and then all of a sudden you like come out with all the things ready, which I think is really hard. I think what we've done a little bit is we were just all kind of coming out of the DIY scene, and we've just kind of always hit the ground running. So it's been gradual. It's like a little car driving up a hill, because it's just us, and we've just put all of our hearts into it. So
Things that are happening organically, like you sort of don't want to like hit yourself in the head with a hammer like 1,000 times. Like if you've been doing something like and you're passionate about it for a long time and you can't get a foothold outside of your town or even in the city that you're in, you have to
Be open to change,
Yeah.
and you just want to keep evolving.
I think one of the biggest parts is showing up. You know what I mean? Like showing up to the show, just being there, just deciding like, okay, I'm want to make music. I'm gonna make music. I'm gonna write songs. I'm gonna finish songs. I'm gonna get the band together. I'm just gonna try. And I think that because otherwise you could spend all day in your head thinking like, oh, I could be better. I could be doing more and more. But if you spend all day doing that, then you'll never get out there and see the world. So I think that's also something that we've tried to apply.
This interview that Chris Gether did with this guy who wrote over 18,000 songs, he was like, if you want to get hit by lightning, you have to stand in a field.
Holding a metal pole.
Holding-
Yeah, you have to hold a metal pole in a field.
Yeah, during a lightning storm.
During a lightning storm.
It's a great.
You gotta show up.
Is there anything you want to add at the end? The last words are yours.
I think we really like Berlin, and we're really happy to be here.
Yeah, and we're playing Munich tomorrow. I don't know when this is going out, but we're playing Munich tomorrow. We're going to be on the road in Europe for the next 4 weeks. So we'll see you somewhere.
We'll see you someday.
Yeah.
Thanks for having us.
Thank you.
Thank you.